Hello and welcome to the Star Citizen News, each week taking a look at the headlines and then a closer look at what's been happening in the Star Citizen community, this time for the week ending the 10th of April 2016. This week's headlines: 2.3.1 is out live, that latest Star Citizen patch. It's quite a minor patch, but it does fix a few bugs and improves performance in the mini persistent universe. This paves the way for patch 2.4 to go to the PTU, which I would expect relatively shortly. I'll put all the details of the patch notes in the description below. We've also had the monthly report come out from March. Now, this talks a lot about persistence, patch 2.4, 2.3, 2.3.1, the Xi'an Scouts, and the Starfarer, amongst other things. I'll get a video up with all the notes up this week, but it's really worth a read if you'd like to see what CIG and their various studios have been up to around the world. Also, this month, Subflare has also been released to anyone that is a subscriber, and it's a Hornet tracker model. If you subscribe over the weekend, it will be in your hangar by Tuesday the 12th of April. Now let's take a closer look at what's been happening in the Star Citizen community from the various videos that CIG have done this week. 10 for the Chairman, Around the Verse, and Reverse the Verse. In 10 for the Chairman, episode 81, Chris Roberts answered a variety of questions that might be helpful to some. In regards to manually activated flight modes, some ships will have manually activated flight modes, others will have one or set modes for landing or flight. Distress beacons. They're still working on the mechanics of distress beacons at the moment. They don't know exactly how they're going to play out yet. Ship-mounted shotguns. They're not currently planned, but maybe in the future. More slots in instances. So they're currently working on having more than 24 players in the future, obviously. They plan to open up the whole of Port Olisar in the near future, or in the future at least, so that it can house 64 players, 16 in each of its 4 areas. They're working on getting all the net and game code up to spec to support that, and there will be multiple servers handling each major area that will give seamless handoffs between them to enable lots more players. The future concept ships will go on sale at some point are the Misk Prospector, the small mining ship, the RSI Polaris Corvette, the Drake Buccaneer Interceptor, and the Drake Dragonfly Space Motorbike. Company synergy bonuses, set bonuses basically. There currently aren't any synergy or set bonuses for having like sets of complete components from one company. They may look at this in the future, giving some form of set bonus, but it's not currently planned. In regards to piloting large ships, you're going to need a pilot or helmsman on the larger ships, as well as lots of the other various stations that will need to be filled, like radar, etc. They're also looking at getting a holographic or map mode, so that you can control the ship, tell it where you want to go, and it will try and get there, though that's at the moment unconfirmed. Glaive for spare parts. You're going to be able to use, probably, the Asperia Glaive to retrofit your captured Vandal Scythe, if you have one. They haven't come up with the details fully yet, though, and if there are going to be any penalties for doing that. In Around the Verse Season 2, Episode 26, we found out a variety of things that the other studios around the world were doing. Down in Los Angeles, they're working on the Caterpillar concept art. The light marine armour is also being worked on, and they're also working on some character heads as well. Down in Austin, they're focusing heavily on shopping. Inventories have been put into DataForge, and we're going to get to see these on our Moby glasses in the near future. They're working on pricing for everything in-game. They've decided on using alpha currency in-game, which will be earned by doing missions, killing pirates, that sort of stuff, that we'll be able to spend in-game. This will also be wiped every so often. That's why it's an alpha currency. They'll just wipe it every so often. Shop inventory has also been set up in Cubby Blast, and they're adding armor in there as well, though that might just be a temporary placeholder for where the armor's stored. The Nyx landing zone will not be in 2.4. Down in Foundry 42 UK, they've been working on player health, vaulting, and mantling. Landing in the back of Idris's has also been worked on, and they're also working on spawn bundles and compartmentalized items. down in Foundry 42 Frankfurt. They're in the final stages of 2 new ship weapons and 2 new FPS weapons. They've been fixing various bugs with 2.3.1, working on getting projectiles, working inside all the local physics grids of ships, working on subsumption in general, and they have the new player health system and HUD that they've been working on as well. In the ATV interview, they interviewed Todd Pappy, who is the design director for Star Citizen in Foundry 42 Frankfurt. In the wonderful world of Star Citizen, they looked at the very great streamer Captain Richard, check that out. MVP this week was Mike Willis UK for his compiled Q&A database. I'll put the link of that in the description. It's a great website where you can grab all of the questions and answers that have been asked on like 10 for the Chairman and that sort of thing. Also, this week's ATV Fast Forward was a look at some of the procedural Planet tech. Check that out, it's pretty damn cool. In this week's Reverse the Verse, we found out another few little things that weren't mentioned elsewhere. Ground vehicles are currently being worked on. I'm looking forward to them quite a lot. 2.4 is being made for the QA team at the moment, so they're basically their test build. They're hoping it contains 1 hangar-ready ship, 1 flyable ship, and the start of Persistence at the least. The Carrack is not in production yet, but once the Caterpillar is complete, it will start. The Herald's interior and exterior have recently been approved. The Hornet F7C A military variant is being worked on. The Javelin has been being worked on. A lot of its assets have been done or being worked on as well. The Starfarer is having its damage effects worked on. The small mining ship is confirmed as the Misk Prospector, as we discussed earlier. The Dragonfly has changed to not have a quantum drive at the moment. This might change again in the future. They haven't really decided or locked anything down with that. The Caterpillar has completed some of its internal concepts. The 300i should be receiving its rework later this year, and the Banner Merchantman, the Endeavour, the Hull series, and the Orion should be going into production in the second half of this year. That's it from this week's Star Citizen News and Weekly Review. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help me. Over the next week we'll get the monthly review and all that sort of jazz up as well, so stay tuned for that. You take care guys, have a great weekend, and I will see you in the verse.